Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So lovely to see you all. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. And let's start by going straight into the superpower state. So take a deep breath and either close your eyes or leave them open, whichever you prefer. And go into your superpower state, however you normally do that. So by repeating a word or phrase, using your anchor, or by focusing in on everything you love and appreciate about your subject. And start to feel that expansion feeling in your chest, that opening feeling in your heart. As you focus in on that love and that appreciation and how that feels. Very good. And allowing that light or energy to shine out from your heart. Good job. And now allowing that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Good job. And now allow that light or energy to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Love each cell just for existing. Very, very good. Now I want you to just allow this feeling. Allow this feeling to be here. So notice how this good feeling feels physically in your body. Where in your body, what the sensations are of this love, this light, this energy. And then imagine just allowing it to be here. Very good job. And now imagine the little you, yourself as a child, and allow that light or energy to fill that little you. Love that little you just for existing no matter what. And then imagine that light, that energy shining out from that little you and filling everything in your childhood, every person, every event, every circumstance, every experience, no matter what, shining this light into any darkness, loving it all exactly as it is. That's the power. Very good job. Now allow that light, that energy to fill everyone who's on the call today. All those who are on camera, all those who are off camera today, loving each one just for existing. Very, very good. All right, you can open your eyes if you had them closed. And let's check in with each person to find out how you're all doing. So first up on my screen is Sue. We can't see you, so if you can hear us, you are there. Good. Hi, Sue. How are you today?
Okay. I've been doing quite a lot of work on myself, which sort of ends up feeling quite depressing in a way, because I sort of feel like I'm extremely critical of myself, and if I'm extremely critical of myself, or when I'm extremely critical of myself, it's sort of like it feels that I don't really like me.
Oh, very.
So that's what I've been working on.
Good job.
And then the other thing is that after I did that shoot of that black lady, which made me feel so terrified, you know, like doing the photography for her. 2 days after that, after doing the editing, because I did quite a lot of editing, just because that's what I do, make the pictures look really good. And I got tennis elbow.
Oh.
So that's like 3 weeks now, maybe, or 4 weeks that I've had tennis elbow, and it's damn sore now.
Okay, so
I've been having treatment, and I was just wondering if you had any kind of insight into something.
okay, so let's unpack this for a moment. So first of all, which elbow, which side? Left
Right.
or you're right, okay. And what is it? So what does the pain feel like if you were to describe the type of pain?
Sort of like sometimes it feels like a ripping pain.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what's the worst thing about it? The worst thing about having this pain, this tennis elbow?
That, I mean, my right arm I'm a right-handed person, so it is limiting.
Right. It's
Yeah,
limited.
and it's frustrating as well. Like if I want to edit a photograph, I haven't been doing much photography. When I pick up my camera, it even hurts.
Okay. All right. So let's start by using the allowing technique with this. So
Okay.
can you feel the pain now in your elbow?
Not really.
Okay.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, I've just moved it, and then I can feel it. Yes.
Okay, so that's okay. So I want you to think about the pain and think about what it means. So think about the fact that it means you're restricted. It means you can't edit when you want to. You can even picking up your camera hurts. All of that, and I want you to notice the emotion, the main emotion there. Can you? And you don't have to label it. Just notice it. Can you do that? Whatever that is.
Not really, no.
So when you
frustration, I think it's sort of like a frustration, but I can't necessarily feel it.
So when you think about the fact that you can't edit, how does that feel?
That's like,
Good.
it's like it's anything that's like that holds me back is like,
yeah, perfect. Good job, Sue. All right. So I want you to feel that now and notice where in your body you feel that. Where is it physically in your body that you feel that?
So across the back of my shoulders.
Good. All right. Very good. So now I want you to just allow that sensation to be there without giving it any meaning, without needing it to do anything or change. Can you do that? Can you just relax into allowing just the sensation to just be there without judgment?
Yeah.
Good, very good. And as you do that, what happens? Does it stay the same? Does it change?
And then I start noticing that that my body's sort of, I mean, I've been quite busy all afternoon, and so I'm conscious of my heartbeat, and then I go like, I don't want to be conscious of my heartbeat because that's the thing that's always scared me from Switzerland.
Well, let's do that then. Let's be conscious of your heartbeat. Just allow your heart to beat. Your heart is beating automatically. It's being controlled by your autonomic nervous system. So it's you don't have to do anything about it. Just allow it. Can you do that? Can you focus on your heart beating, and what do you notice when you focus on your heart beating?
Gosh, I've done this so often with my psychologist when I used to go. That's sort of like what she used to do with me, is just sort of like, and to try and step outside me.
Well, don't step outside you for now. Don't step outside you. Just notice your heartbeat and what happens when you notice your heartbeat.
Well, initially, I get this sort of like feeling of whoosh over me, I suppose, because it brings back memories of when I used to get heart palpitations and how they used to terrify me.
Perfect. So that feeling of whoosh, I want you to just allow that. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a sensation. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Can you just allow that whoosh? And if the whoosh happens again, allow it. Allow
Well,
the
there's other things that are coming up, so I'm going, okay, just allow that thing.
good. Very good. Just allow it all. Because right now, you're not in any physical danger. There's nothing wrong right now. These are all just sensations. And so we're not going to give them any meaning. We're not going to judge them. We're just going to allow them to be. Can you do that?
Yes.
Good. Very good. And as you do that, as you allow these sensations, what happens? Do they stay the same? Do they change?
Well, I just sort of feel, I suppose, in a way, more peaceful.
Very good.
And they don't feel like such a threat.
Yes, very good. So you see, one of the things about this allowing exercise physiologically is that we are designed to be frightened of the unknown. We're designed to be hyper alert for survival purposes. So and this goes not just for physical sensations, but for, financial situations and, situations in relationships or with people or career, all of that kind of thing. Whenever there's something that is unknown, and this is an unconscious automatic reaction, we tend to, the brain and body tend to produce stress chemicals automatically because we've got to be aware, we've got to be careful, and what happens is as that happens, the conscious mind starts finding reasons for that feeling. And then it just builds, then it becomes a vicious cycle because as we come up with the reasons for it, automatically we're pumping more stress chemicals into the system. And so it continues. That's why when you stop and you go, okay, let's actually look at this. So it's like you may have had this experience either yourself or with your children, or you may know of it. When a child is frightened, there's something under my bed, or there's something in the cupboard, or something like that. And you go, come, let's look. And you look under the bed or you look in the cupboard and then there's nothing there. But as long as they don't look there, then they're terrified because that's the way we're designed. So that's what we're doing here. So if you think of these sensations, and for everybody else, anything else you're worried about, you're feeling fear about, whether that's financial or health or communication, anything like that, think of it as you're imagining there's a monster under the bed. Okay. And so now what you want to do is you want to look under the bed so that you can see there's no monster, because intellectually that monsters don't exist. Yeah. There's nothing under your bed, but you feel, as long as you're imagining it, it's there. Your brain and body, I remember, always react as if the thing is real because can't tell the difference, which is why the work we do with memories works so well. So you want to home in, okay, so exactly what is this? What is this that I'm so worried about, so frightened of? And it can feel scary because, again, because your brain and body are producing those chemicals. But this allowing technique allows you to look under the bed. So then you focus in, okay, so my heart is doing this, and these whooshes are happening, and just allowing them. And then that's when you bring the stress chemicals down. All right. And then, of course, we still want to change the references as well. But that's the beginning, the first step. Does that make sense so far, Sue?
Yeah, it does. And when you were saying about the monster under the bed thing, I was just sort of, which I suppose in some ways, I mean, I was scared of monsters when I was little, but more sort of in tune with more, that's something that's sort of part of my life now, which is this little dog. And she's scared of so many things. And the other day I was going out and she always likes to come, but she doesn't like to be on her own. And then she suddenly stopped dead on the veranda. And there were a whole lot of these, how you get those plastic top things that plants come in, and they're quite soft. And so we've got a pile of them, and the wind had blown them over. So they were lying on the veranda, and she got so scared. So I had to actually call her and just say to her, come, Sophie, like, this is what it is. And then I took them apart, and then I showed it to her gently to say, like, and then she sniffed it. And she was still wanting to go away from it. So she wasn't completely trusting. And then eventually she sniffed the first one, and then so it went. And then I put them in 3 separate piles instead of one long pile so that it wouldn't fall over and spook her again or whatever. But it's that same kind of thing. It's just sort of like
exactly
slowly introducing her to something that she's so terrified of, and then she was fine after that. That was just.
So that is a perfect example. Thank you for sharing that, Sue. That is absolutely perfect. So from now on, whenever you catch yourself frightened or worried about anything, remember that
Think
moment.
of Sophie. Yeah.
And treat yourself the same way you treated Sophie.
Well,
So patiently, kindly. Sorry, what was that?
I said that's the other thing.
Yes. So now you have a really good reference for that, for how to do. So even sometimes you may not be able to or whatever, but you've got a guide. You know, okay, so you've got that memory with Sophie, and now you'll just keep referring to that. How did I do this with Sophie? And then you can, and it'll probably be a process. It'll be getting used to speaking to yourself in a different way, but practice it. And remember, every time you do, every time you think of it, every time you practice it, you're forming those new neural networks. So eventually it will become easier. It will become automatic.
Yeah.
All right. So that's number one. Now, the second thing, I want to go back to this, this thing of being frightened of monsters when you were a child. Do you have any memories, or how do you know you were scared of monsters?
Well, I do sort of, sorry, I have to get my charger. I didn't realize my battery was going back, but I used to be scared of having, I remember, and my sister was the same, we used to be scared of, like, you wouldn't let your limb go over the side of the bed in case something come and bite off in the night. It's really quite funny, but I think a lot of people have that.
Absolutely. So thank you for bringing it up, because this goes for everyone. If you have any memories of that, or you know it happened or whatever, absolutely crucially change them. So create new memories of, and you could do a stepping stone memory depending on each individual person's experience of it. So if your parents, for example, didn't handle it the way they should have done, then create a stepping stone memory where you say to them, I'm scared of the monster, and they do what Steve did with his little girl, create a spray bottle of monster spray and go into the closet and under the bed and spray the monster spray so that you feel safe. So you could do a stepping stone of that, and then the final memory, you were never scared of monsters.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so I would change it, because that will be, I know it doesn't seem it's so important right now and even funny. It will be informing and providing references for other things in your life right now, including probably.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good job, Sue.
Okay. Thanks.
Now. All right.
Digging slowly, getting there.
Good job. Oh, I also wanted to come to, so the feeling of whatever that was that makes you feel down when you've been working on yourself, whatever, being hard on yourself and all that, again, use the allowing technique with that. So allow that.
Okay.
So think about, okay, so I've been working on myself, and whatever thoughts bring up that feeling, and then again, focus in, how does this feeling feel in my body? What's the physical sensation? And then allow that sensation. So do the same process. And when this recording comes out, you can follow along with the first bit that we did and just apply it to those feelings.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Good
Thank
job.
you.
Yay. You're very welcome. Oh, my screen went funny. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So Lisa, you're up next on my screen. How are you today?
Oh, good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yay. Very good. Thank you. Today's Magnificent Monday, and it's such a pleasure to see you all. So I wanted to read from your book. Okay, so it's on page 63. Unconditional love is the ultimate way to release resistance. when you want to create or attract something in your life and you visualize it and you're having the feeling of it, often the thought of the lack or the absence of it will create resistance and therefore block the manifestation. So you have a solution, which is great. Using your superpower, living the lack, allowing yourself and the entire situation, even if it never happens, releasing the resistance, then you just keep doing it. So I think that's really great, because that allowing process would be really good too, to see that in front of you and what does it look like.
Perfect. Yes, thank you for sharing that, Lisa. And I thought that was lovely when you said page 63. Chris turned around and picked up the book and looked up page 63 as well, and that was lovely to see. So that was lovely to see. So thank you, Lisa, for sharing that, and it is spot on. Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's a lot when you read out these excerpts from the book. There's some things where I think, okay, I need to add a little bit extra, because of course I wrote that book, I think it was 2012 or something, or 2014. So it was a while ago, and we've developed since, but there is so much of it, in fact, most of it that you read out that, you know, that applies completely as it is. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you.
Sure, thank you.
All right. And then Swasti. Hi, Swasti.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Well, I'm good now, but I've been like really on edge kind of the whole, like the past 3 days. But I've been trying to use I have been using the allowing technique.
Good.
But it just keeps coming back again and again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the medical school rejections, and then talking about it with other people who are not like my family, so like guests and stuff.
Yes.
And I'm kind of like, it's almost like waiting for the bomb to drop. Like when somebody comes, they're gonna ask about that because it's been in the news and stuff. Like these results coming out and this all like craziness happening. And I just get very on edge when people ask my parents or ask me about like what's happening, what are you doing now? I'm just like, it's kind of none of your business, but I have to tell you anyway.
Okay, very good. So there's a big reference there, of course. So before I ask the rest of the questions, what we're aiming for is when someone asks, you, number one, you don't feel triggered by it. And so you can answer something like, thank you so much for asking. I've decided to take a gap year, and then whatever else you want to say. So that's an option. So you don't have to give any more detail than that. But let me ask you this. So you've had the results already, or they're still to come out?
So yeah, I am on a gap year now. Yeah,
right.
There's unless a miracle happens, I'm not going to university in 3 weeks' time.
All right, and we know miracles have happened before.
Yeah. Yes.
So here's the bottom line is that whatever happens, whether you take a gap year or a miracle happens, it's going to be the very best possible outcome.
Yeah.
That's going to get you ultimately to where you really want to be, as long as you don't thrash around in the water, as long as you go with the flow and surf it. So we know that. So now let's look at this feeling of, so I've got an inkling from what you've said. So when these people come and they ask you about it, they ask you what happened or whatever, what emotions come up for you first? What's the strongest reaction in you?
I think it's like not again, and it's really none of your business. You shouldn't really be like, I'm not asking about your life. You don't need to.
Very
good. As well.
Good job. So let's ask this: what's wrong with them asking?
Yeah, it's just sticking their nose in what's not theirs.
Okay. And so so we find the right reference, I want to ask you this: if you had got into a medical school and they asked, would you still feel it's not their business, or would it be a different feeling?
I think it would depend on which medical school it was, to be honest.
So let's choose the best one it could be.
Oh yeah, then I just say it easily.
Right. So so what we want to do is drill down. That's why I asked that, to drill down. So the reference, so it's not about it not being their business. It's about how you feel about the results you have. and
Mhm.
telling them that. So that's good. So so you're taking a gap year,
Mhm.
and why is that a problem to say to people, I'm taking a gap year? What's wrong with that? What's causing these feelings?
So I've noticed, like people who I have to tell this to, I get most anxious when I have to say it to people whose children go to private schools. I didn't go to a private school. I went to a state school. So
Right?
so in their eyes, gap year is a failure, but
Oh,
gap year is not like a
yeah,
gap year is just what it's designed for a reason. Like it's made to better you as a student.
exactly. So how do you know that gap year is seen as a failure?
Oh well, it's kind of like the default thing if you didn't get any offers or a place at university.
Yeah.
So you must have
So,
failed to have taken it.
okay. So think so but how do you know that? So when you say I'm taking a gap year, do they say, that's a failure? So how do you know how do you know that that's the understanding?
Okay, so I think one of them said, "Oh, it happens to everyone. It's okay. Don't worry."
Good. Well, that was kind.
Yeah, yeah. I
I need
didn't
to
take
have a
it.
different reference,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So, so what was wrong with her saying, or him, whoever it was, saying, "Oh, don't worry, it happens to everyone," or something like that? What's wrong with that?
I just thought it was not fair because, like, their children go to private schools. They're ultimately going to end up in one of the best universities with best grades and things. Like, I was not in that position. And my
Very.
dad's considering sending my sister to a private school now because of what's happened with me. I'm just like,
Oh,
this isn't fair. I was not given all that.
all right. So let me ask you this. So what we want to do first is shift the perception a little bit. So I went to public school
Mhm.
and I never went to university.
Mhm.
What do you think of that?
um, I just think like, how did you get a job? Or, like,
Very
how did you earn money in the first place?
perfect. Well done, Swasti. This is great because it's leading to references that that are, an explanation for your reaction. So not everybody goes to university, right?
Mhm.
There
Yeah.
are, in fact, a lot of very successful people who never went to university.
Mhm.
So we know, of course, that if you want to be a doctor, you have to go to university. We know that, right?
Mhm.
But it doesn't matter, I mean, not all doctors went to university straight from school. So many, many, many take gap years. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason I'm pointing this out is that perception is not based on reality. It's based on references from, yeah. Okay. So now let's look at what it means to you, because this is obviously meaning something. So what we're aiming for is that it doesn't mean anything. You're taking a gap year. You're going to enjoy your gap year. You're going to do whatever you want to do, whatever you want to achieve, that the others won't have an opportunity to
Mhm.
do and achieve, right? So they're actually going to be behind in some ways, depending on what you get to, to experience or do during that gap year, even if it's got nothing to do with medicine, even if it's something different. So one could shift perception to, these people have a disadvantage. Poor things, you could feel, right? Because I would bet money on the fact that many of those who are going straight into university wish they could take a gap year, but their parents won't let them,
Mhm.
even if they don't say so. It's
Mhm.
natural. I mean, you're 18 years old. That's a time in life that you want to be enjoying yourself as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And living, experiences and learning other stuff. Okay. So that's what we're aiming for, is to get to that realization, because if you could wave a magic wand, perhaps you would change it so that you did get into the medical school you want to get into. But since you don't have that ability right now, things may turn out that way. We don't know, but they won't unless you make peace with what you don't want.
Mhm.
So let's look at the when you tell someone that, so I want you to remember now, it's somebody asking you and you telling them and how that felt. Pick the worst one if you can. Can you remember one, where it felt the worst?
I can only remember one, actually, as in only one scenario, not the worst, but yeah.
Okay, good. So so you can remember that now. Can you remember how it felt?
Yeah,
You can
yeah,
kind of get that feeling.
yeah, I can feel it now.
Good.
It's like waiting for it
Very
to happen,
good.
and then it happens. Mm-hmm.
Good job. And where in your body do you feel that feeling?
It's kind of like below the shoulders and above the ankles, everywhere.
Good,
In
good.
between.
So now just allow that feeling to be there. So it doesn't mean anything. You don't need to do anything about it. It doesn't need to go away. It's just okay to just be there. It's a sensation, just like having your hand on your leg or your elbow on the table. It's just a sensation. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Good, very good. And so what happens when you do that?
It shifts to like heaviness in the ankles.
Very good. And so now I want you to feel that heaviness in the ankles and just allow that to be there. Just allow that heaviness to be there. You don't need to do anything about it. There is nothing required. There's no expectations. It's just heaviness in your ankles. Can you do that?
Yeah, and it goes away.
Good job. Very, very good. Very good. Now, so we've done that. So that's good. Now let's look at that feeling. Where in your childhood did you feel that same feeling when when somebody asks you and you tell them you're taking a gap year, however that feels, where in your childhood did you feel the same feeling? And of course, it won't be about a gap year, it could be something else. And it may not be your own experience, you may have witnessed something.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think what comes to mind now is so my cousin was very naughty, like in just a childish way, but he was broke stuff and so he'd always have to be confronted in some way, and I'd witness that and wish that was not me.
There you go. Very good. Good job, Swasti. So, yeah, so of course, a stepping stone where he did what he did, but it was handled completely differently. So the adult said, okay, now that's not okay. You know, that's not okay. And, you know, they explained it nicely and kindly, and they gave him guidance rather than a confrontation. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And then he responded by going, oh, okay, and he complied. So that's the stepping stone. So everything was fine. There was no threat. There was nothing to be worried about. So that you knew that even if you did something wrong, that's the way it would be handled, with kindness, compassion, and guidance, and understanding and support. That's a stepping stone 3 times. And then, of course, the final memory is instead of doing the wrong things, he was doing something else. In fact, the 2 of you were doing something, and the adults were like, oh, thank you so much. And it was something contributing, something to be proud of, something amazing that they were like, oh, I didn't even know you could do that.
Oh,
Something helpful.
So my cousin and I doing something good. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes
sense. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you clean something or you present something or whatever. You do something that they go, oh, thank you so much. It's a lovely surprise.
Okay.
Yeah. And you see how we're addressing different references there. So there's the reference for the fear of getting into trouble, and then there's the reference of there is no trouble. There is nothing to worry about. So we are always helpful and valuable, admired, and safe.
Yeah, that's really good. Oh, that's so clever. Like all in one piece.
Yeah, very good. Good job. All right. And so do that and practice it and that. And then after you've done that, once you've practiced the new memories, then think about that moment that you thought about where you told someone, they asked and you told them, and see what's there, see if there's still any negative feelings. Repeat the process until there's no negative feelings, and then change that memory to where they didn't ask you. Or no, sorry, stepping stone, where they asked you and you told them and they were like, oh, that's wonderful. Oh, I know my child wishes they could take a gap year, but we just can't afford it, or whatever, or they won't get a place if they take a gap year. They'll be too far behind, or whatever the best thing would be. And then the final memory is they don't ask you.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so the child one, so the cousin one, and then this recent one.
That's it. And then once you've done that, the next step will be imagining the next person who's coming to your house, who's going to ask. And knowing that they're going to ask. So, there's no reason to be frustrated about it or feel, anything other than, it's okay. They're saying, how was your day? Oh, it was great. So what are you doing? Or did you get into medicine school or whatever? However they put it, the answer is no, I'm taking a gap year. And if they say, oh, don't worry, it happens to everyone, then you go, oh no, I'm thrilled because I have a lot I want to achieve this year. I have a lot I want to do and achieve before I go to university. And if they say, what is it? Or some examples of that, you say, I'm not prepared to talk about it just yet because I'm still planning, or something like that. You don't have to give any details, but you are presenting with the fact that it's your choice. Right?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so if I replied like that, my parents would just be like shocked. They'd be like, you took this gap year to improve your admission test score, which is what let me down. The only thing that let me down, luckily, nothing else. And they would be like, yeah, you're not here to have fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then that you can say, so if they say, oh, that never mind, it happens to everyone, you can just say, oh no, I'm very happy for the extra time, or something like that. Keep it simple. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. How does that feel for you?
I think that was really good. Finding the reference, because I found like a lot of random ones. I didn't feel the same, but they were just coming up. So I think this was good.
Very, very good. Good job.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, sweetheart. All right. And Chris, you're up next. How are you today?
Well, I just love my life, and I love it so much I'm here because you lot are the best thing going on for me. So thank you all. And thank you. And Lisa, I'm relying on Lisa to, I read your book a couple of years ago. I read it twice then, but I'm relying on Lisa now to take me back to the important bits. So I bought some highlighters and I'm highlighting bits. Now, I watched last Friday's session, and I've, so in response to Tina's story of her mum and her mum's critical eye and speaking about things that are ugly, so I've rewritten a story for Mummy because I'd done the work on judgmental references, but I wrote it again because there must have been a little, what do you call, your little weedy roots.
Yes.
And it's lovely. But the lovely thing is when right at the end, saying how Mummy was a generous and only saw the good in people, and she was so sure of herself. I'm just quoting your words. And so nothing mattered at all because she only saw how genuine and honest and capable people were. But right at the end, I've written, and I have grown up exactly like her.
Nice. Perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Thank you, Chris, for that lovely example. So changing your parents to what you want to be, and then saying, I took after them. So you don't want to be, I didn't take after my parents. You want to take after your parents, but you want to change them so that they're what you want to be. So that's a perfect example of that. Thank you, Chris.
So it finishes off. I don't know if you're hearing me very well, because I just had a little question. Can I ask it?
Absolutely, of course.
I did a lot of work in the week, and I feel like I've been to the gym in terms of the ESC work, so I'm very strong.
Yeah.
I used the ESC position of unconditional love. I didn't change references. I just did it all that way, and that seemed to achieve where I needed to go.
Great.
Is that okay?
That's fine. So, you know, we do still need to make sure that the references are matching, but if no references have come up, that's okay. They probably will, you know, or they may do.
Right.
If there's anything left there, because you've changed a lot already, so it may be fine. An example of mine, and I'm just going to be very brief, I won't go into details, but for me, the big thing that I changed last week on Thursday, that I shared on Friday, of my mum being stressed and all of that, and I did the allowing technique and then changed it and all that. That was great. And then I was practicing that new memory of her being stressed and me handing her the blue fluffy thing and her going, oh, that's what it, thank you so much. I empowered that little me to change, to fix, to whatever. Having done that, Saturday night, I had the most incredible, detailed, intense dream about trying really hard to help and being mocked. Now that I had not thought about, I didn't have any memories, but that dream was so intense that I was screaming in the dream about being brokenhearted and everything, and I couldn't speak, you know, it was one of those dreams. And when I woke up, I didn't feel the emotions because I don't have those references anymore. But clearly there was a hidden reference of being mocked for my efforts. So I was able to then do the allowing with that, and it immediately switched to unconditional love. And then I was able to just create new memories of, because I don't have any specific memories of being mocked, but I was able to create new memories of me doing an effort and, or, you know, helping and people responding with great gratitude and appreciation and praise and that kind of thing. So the point I'm making there is we don't always know the references, but sometimes they come up not just in a dream, but perhaps just suddenly you'll think of something. And the main point I want to make is that, you know, if a reference does come up, do change it, of course. So, and if it doesn't, that's okay. Yeah.
Well, thank you, because I was driving home today and I was thinking, oh yeah, that was really good week. I was so strong and that's what I did. And there was that moment where I thought, oh, but then why was that happening? And then that moment, it flicked a bit of a reference.
Right.
So I thought, oh, I haven't done that work, have I? So I've got my list. I've got it now. I know what to,
And so what I say to myself is, oh, you missed a spot.
Yeah. Okay, I missed a spot. There we are.
All right. Very good, Chris. Thank you so much for sharing that. Fantastic. All right. And hey, how are you today, Pat?
I'm fine. How are you all?
Very good. Thank you.
Well, it's been going great. So today is kind of a rough day because I think I'm trying to remember. I think it's in 2000, but anyway, it's the year. This date is either 2000 or 2001. This is when my mother passed away, and so I was thinking, just like you told me about your brother. I've been working and thinking about the good things for her. But,
good.
But that's just
that's hard. Yeah. Okay. And thank you for sharing this, because this is again a challenge that so many people have, is anniversaries of things, anniversaries connected to people who have crossed over. And that can be very difficult, whether it's the anniversary of their death or their birthday or any other kind of, you know, it was a year today that such and such. So one of the things is that we tend to naturally make a mental note of the date of that a person died, right? So, or otherwise, unless they died on their birthday or another significant date, we wouldn't normally remember that date. And so the brain, we make that link in the brain between this particular date and the date and the fact that that person died. And so what I'm saying is, I noticed that somebody sent me a thing, so my brother died on a Sunday, and the following Sunday, someone mentioned about it being a week today, and I hadn't realized it. Because I didn't bookmark it. I didn't think, okay, so it's Sunday and it's this date. And I had to actually look at the calendar to think, oh yeah, I didn't even know what date he died, because I don't make that connection. I connect birthday. So when his birthday comes around, I will, of course, that will be a thing. So that's number one. And so number two is that what we want to do with grief, loss, missing, regret, any of those kind of things, is we want something to replace it, so that we're not going, well, if I don't feel this, then what? So we want the feel-good feelings to be even stronger, so that they override any of the loss. So now there's going to be some stuff here, though. We can't just magically do it. So what I want to do with you, just very briefly, is ask you number one, how did you find out about your mom dying?
Okay. It was, she was at the hospital, in Charleston at Roper Hospital, and I was really there. They had told me I had gone to school that day, and when I got there that day, they said that, should we pull the cord for her?
Right.
And mother must have known that that's what they were going to ask me, because when I walked into the room and they said they wanted to see me outside the room from her, she just shook her head, yes, 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 yes.
Right.
Yes. And she said, I'm ready to go.
Nice. Yes.
So when he asked the question, and I she already gave me the answer. So,
right.
But it was hard because I had to make that decision.
Okay, so there it is. So that's what I was going to say. So what was the problem with it? Because, of course, the fact that she was saying, yes, I'm ready to go, that's wonderful. That's a great, so one can see that as you were able to grant her wish. But let's ask this, what did it mean to you to make this decision? When you said that was a hard decision to make, or it's whatever emotions are there, what does it mean that you made that decision?
Well, she was the last person in my immediate family.
Right.
So
that's it. So there's significance there. So you've got can I just say as well, though, that necklace that you're wearing is exquisite. I love that turquoise. Where did you get it?
Somebody gave it to me. It was a gift. Matter of fact, a family where this lady was she was a president of her junior college here. And they, some things that they liked and they wanted to share and they wanted to pass on. And so it was a brand new, but they gave it to me.
It's very striking. I love it.
Thank you.
Good job. Very nice. Okay, so let's go back to your mom. So she was the last one in your family, in your immediate family. Now, what does that mean to you? See, we give meaning to things, because the fact that she was the last one in your immediate family is just, she was the last one in your immediate family. It's neither good nor bad until we give it a meaning, right? So, there's so many examples of that I can give. But for example, when my mum died, I didn't get there in time. before she died. I was on my way, and she couldn't hold on any longer, bless her heart. And so she left the building before I got there. Now, I was very, very aware and very conscious that my mind wanted to go down that route of how sad it was that I didn't make it, the guilt of not going sooner, what was she feeling and thinking. You know, that's a natural thing for the brain to want to go to the danger, the so-called danger, the negative stuff. So I had to continuously correct myself and bring it back. And I did allow myself to go a little bit down there because, you know, that's the compulsion, but I kept bringing it back. That's not going to change anything. And it's only me giving something meaning. It doesn't mean anything otherwise, especially if you're focusing on, you know, especially if your beliefs are that the person is still with you or that their spirit is still with you, however that is, then, and that's what I just chose. I chose to imagine my mum sitting on the plane. In fact, my sister and I both did that. We imagined our mum sitting on the plane with us and that kind of thing, you know. So we focused in, and my belief is that the people are there, but we block them out because of the grief and the loss we're not acknowledging. But if you start to allow yourself to think of the celebration, the love, the connection, then you're allowing that connection to come back. And if you were to, so what I want to ask you right now is, did your mum ever do anything funny? Or do you have any fun memories with her? What's your favorite memory with your mum?
Probably at the beach.
At the beach, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And so, tell me just a little bit about what was so nice about that.
Well, my mother, I'm not a small person, but neither was my mother. And it did not bother her at all. We would get to the beach and you know, she would just, there was something about that water. She just loved that water, and she put her bathing suit on, and you know, I don't care what, it was happy times. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It just jump in the waves and enjoying the water.
Oh, that's lovely. That is wonderful. So take a deep breath, close your eyes, and I want you to go to the beach now with your mum. I want you to remember that memory. Step into that memory and remember whatever's there. So your mum, her face, the expression, the feeling, the sea, the sand, whatever other sensory, the sounds of whatever was going on, and really absorb and allow yourself to be in that memory and enjoy it, because your subconscious, your brain and your body don't know that that's not actually happening right now. Right. It's only your conscious mind that knows that it's not real. So when you spend some time in that, and then whenever you think of your mum, think of that. Go to that memory and feel the love and the appreciation for that connection. Because you know, all of us, when we move on, we want to all be remembered with love and appreciation, not with pain.
Exactly.
And so, you know, how long were you with your mum? How long did you have together?
Trying to remember. So it's probably like 50, 54, 55 years.
Right. So over 50 years you had together. And how long was she ill for?
Probably like 5 or 6 years.
Right. So out of over 50 years, it's those 5 or 6 years that we focus on. Right? Yes. So what we want to do is change that, because that's a fraction of time compared to all the other time. So what you want to do is pull out the good stuff, the good memories, and refer to those. Whenever your mind thinks of your mum, go to that beach one, because that seems like a really good, strong one. And then you can pick others as well, other great times. So for me, when I think of my mum, I think of her crying with laughter. She used to get hysterical where she couldn't breathe because she was laughing so much, tears running down her cheeks. And we had quite a few of those times. So that's what's there. And, you know, in the beginning, my mind would wander to oh, the fact that I wasn't there and I should have gone earlier, and I would immediately replace it with her laughing. And so it's just a case of like house training a puppy. Just keep redirecting until it's natural. Then automatically, when you think of your mum, including on this day, especially on this day, take her to the beach.
Okay. Will do. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Does that feel better?
Oh, yes, ma'am. A lot better.
Good.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome, sweetheart. Good job. All right, Steve, sorry to interrupt you there. Questions? Oh, we can't hear you.
Of course. Okay. Yep. A quick question, a clarifying question. How do you know you have practiced stepping stone memories enough? Sometimes 3 times seems short, but I don't know when I've practiced enough. And I just wanted to read that out loud so it's there for everybody as well. So I'll give you my take on that, and you can also add whatever you feel on that. But I feel like for myself, I know that in the past, it's been helpful for me to stay with that stepping stone until it felt strong enough for me to move on to the final memory. So that I know that you're doing 3 times in these sessions, and I know it's probably more for keeping things moving along or getting through with the amount of time that we have in here. But practicing it 3 times as a guideline is the way I would say it.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, it is a guideline. I do say 3 times simply because in my experience with myself and with people I've worked with, 3 times is usually enough. But each individual, not only each individual person, but each individual memory may vary. So yes, what Steve said is spot on when it feels, so do it 3 times and see if it feels sufficient. And if it doesn't feel sufficient, do it again. There's no limit. You don't, in other words, you can't do it too much.
Right.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. And another question from Sylvie, who's having a bad internet connection day, but so she would be happy to hop on, but I'm going to read the question out and then you can go from there. Okay. I need an idea for a stepping stone. I feel stuck in my separation from my husband. I don't do all the work necessary to find a financial solution to both have a home separately. I feel paralyzed. We own together a home that we don't want to lose, but we can't stay together in it. And each of us had not the money to buy half of it. I realized I'm stuck in the idea that there's no solution, maybe not because of the money, but because my husband said that he's from this region. He's had his life here and he should be the one who stays in the house. I realized that it was painful to hear that. I came here 28 years ago and I have, and I hear I don't belong here. I realized that as a child, I'm sorry. I realized as a child, I was never in my house as my father always had official residences. It's the first house that is mine. And I know there's, sorry, I've lost this. Got it? Okay, I'm sorry.
I know it's also around not belonging to the community.
Yes.
And my mother, as a stranger in my father's country, experienced also that not belonging. So the not belonging theme. So yes, so thank you, Sylvie, for sharing that. And so your question was an idea for stepping stone, I believe. So yes. I would say go back to, first step. The first new step is the allowing. So that feeling of not belonging, focus on that, bring your attention to that. Where in your body do you feel that feeling of not belonging? What's the sensation you feel? So where in your body is it? What kind of sensation is it? Use your hand on your leg to give you that reference for what, or anything else, touching something. So what does this feel like? And what does it feel like on my hand? What does it feel like on my leg? Whatever it is. And then, remind yourself that those sensations are the same as your hand on your leg. It's just a sensation, and allow that feeling. So not belonging. So I don't belong. Allow that feeling of not belonging and do that. So do the allowing exercise until those stress chemicals come down and it feels like it's dissipated. And then go and change, of course, your father's, because there's a reason your father was like that as well. So your father, sorry, your mum feeling like a stranger in your father's country. How do you know she felt like a stranger there? So presumably either she said it, someone else told you, however you know, whatever references are there that you know your mum felt like a stranger, because you may never have known. She may have just fitted in perfectly. All right. So do that, change those so that she was very comfortable, and then perhaps change so that they both were from that country, or whatever would be the ideal for you if you were to wave magic wand, so that it was all comfortable there. And then, of course, any other feelings of belonging. So like you said, as a child, you were never in your house because your father always had official residences. Very good. So of course, change that completely so that you grew up in, in a beautiful, and it could be just one house, and it could be in any country. So although I grew up in South Africa, now I grew up in America, and grew up in a beautiful house with a swimming pool and all of that. Your brain won't know the difference. So make it fantastic. All right. And make it feel really comfortable. Have people telling you, oh, you have such a lovely house. I wish I had a house like this. Other kids. So it's all about the childhood, right? That's where you want to go first. Those are the roots of the weed. So the situation with your house right now and your husband and all that, just bookmark that for a moment. Just pin it for a moment. Put it on a side. We're not going to do that yet. That's just the leaves and the branches of the weed. So if you try and address that, it's not going to, you'll just recreate the same thing. So childhood, absolutely. Make sure that you've done the allowing exercise, then you've created your mum being comfortable and happy, and your parents being comfortable and happy in their home, that they both feel the same. Then you in your home, all of that. And then only once you've done all of that, then come forward and look at the current situation. And here's what is going on. Of course, what you're experiencing now with your husband and your house now, and the situation that seems you can't sort it out. Of course, that is your subconscious is triggering stress chemicals whenever that subject comes up, and even when it doesn't, just in the background, which means that your prefrontal cortex is offline, and that's why you can't think of a solution. Once you change that, and you're able to now look at this situation and not feel emotions about it, you're bringing that prefrontal cortex back online, your cognitive thinking, and there are solutions, there are opportunities, and there are more than one. So, but you won't be able to think of them while that part of your brain's offline. Once that part of your brain comes back online, you'll come up with solutions and options and choices that you can't think of from where you are now. So I hope that helps. Let us know if you need more, and thank you for sharing, because again, it will help others as well. So anything else, Steve, or are we ready to go into, oh, we can't hear you again. There you are.
Yeah, and it's from Sylvie. Thanks a lot. I'll do that. Maybe I can explain more when I have a better connection tomorrow. So right. Yes, please do that. And I believe that takes care of questions for today. So great. Please, go ahead.
So great. Thanks, Steve. If you could send me the targets, and then everybody else, take a deep breath and either close your eyes or leave them open, whichever you prefer. And go into your superpower state, however you normally do that, by focusing on your word or phrase, using your anchor, or by homing in on everything you love and appreciate about your subject. Very good. And then allow that expansion feeling in your heart. Feel your chest opening, allowing that light to shine out from you. Focusing on that feeling of love and appreciation. Allowing that light, that energy to shine out. And then allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Good job. Now allow that light or energy to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Love each cell just for existing. Very, very good. And then allow that light or energy to fill your subject, focusing in on everything you love about it, everything you love and appreciate about that subject. And then imagine that subject either doesn't want to be with you or doesn't have the qualities you love and admire, and keep them filled with that bright light, that energy, that love anyway, shining that light into any darkness. Feeling your power as you do that. Very, very good. And then allow that light, that energy to fill Chris from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Chris just for existing. Very, very good. Good job. And now to Lisa. Fill Lisa with that same light, that energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Lisa just for existing. Good job. And now to Patricia. Fill Patricia with that same light, that energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Patricia just for existing. Good job. And now to Sue. Fill Sue with that same light, that energy, that love. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips, love Sue just for existing. Very good. And now to Swasti. Fill Swasti with that same light, that energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips, love Swasti just for existing. And allow that light or energy to overflow from Swasti and fill everyone in her life who wants to know about the gap year. Fill all of those people with that same light, that energy, that love, whether they ask about it or not, no matter how they react. Fill them with this bright light, this energy. Love them anyway, shining this light into any darkness. Very good job. And now to Sylvie. Fill Sylvie with this light, this energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips, love Sylvie just for existing. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Sylvie and fill her husband, their home, and everything involved, everything, everyone, every circumstance, every event, shining this light into all of it. Shining this light into any darkness, loving it all exactly as it is and no matter what happens. Very, very good. And now allow this light, this energy to fill all of those who are off camera today and everyone watching the recording. Love each one just for existing. Very good. And then to yourself later today, whatever you'll be doing, however you'll be feeling, whatever you'll be experiencing, fill that version of you with this same light, this energy, this love. Love that version of you no matter what. Exactly as you are. No judgment, no expectation, just love. Very, very good. And now pick one target in your life or in the world and shine this light into that target. Shining the light into any darkness and loving it exactly as it is. That's where your power is. And feeling that amping up of your power as you shine light into what bothers you. Feel how much stronger your power gets as you are able to do that. Very, very good. And surge. Good job. And surge again. Very good. Good job. You can open your eyes if you haven't closed. Good job, everybody. That was some very good work there. Very proud of all of you and so appreciate those of you who share and those of you who just come to benefit from the others. You know, that connection, even those who are off camera and even those who only watch the recordings, there is still a connection between everyone, which is wonderful. We so appreciate every single one of you. So sending you all lots of love, same time, same place tomorrow, and look after yourselves and do share our videos if you can, our videos and our Facebook posts and what have you, because we would love to reach more people. So, you know, can you imagine more and more people being able to develop this skill, just how that could affect the world. So we would love for you to help us get the word out. All right, lots of love to all of you. Bye-bye now. Bye.